the president can do here. He's got assets in the region. He can bomb the infrastructure. He can make a deal. But this morning he said it's got to be a great deal. And we know what that means in his characterization of it. But these markets are very measured.
So, the markets turned negative on that J.D. Vance headline that he wasn't already on his way, and there was some hesitation about him leaving. But, let's, you look at this from, the 10,000-foot standpoint. Iran has suffered $200 billion worth of damage, according to the Greek gentleman from the Daily Mail. We've hit over 13,000 of their targets to their 17 of ours. This is a completely one-sided affair. And yes, there's been some political pain here, a little bit of economic pain here, but nothing like what they've felt on the other side. And for the Iranians to talk tough about this, which they have over the past few weeks, it's a little bit of Monty Python, right? And that this is merely a flesh wound. It's almost a joke. So they know if they don't make a deal, right, you've got another week or 2 or 3 weeks or 5 days or whatever of us going after more significant targets. And if we take out some of that oil infrastructure, there's a chance they never build it back again. So what I think the market is pricing in and is looking at is that it's in everyone's best interest to come to some sort of a deal right now. And even if it's not final, if it's got a framework, then we'll work towards that. And we've seen that with the tariffs and the way that Trump is that he is going to be as bombastic as he has to be to get to where, an ending point that's suitable for him and for the United States. And I think we get there. I think that's what you're seeing in the markets, because the other side is more devastation for Iran. And just everyone talks about how ideological and these people are and they're going to dig their heels in. I say nonsense. These guys have tens of billions of dollars in their numbered accounts in Dubai, right? Used to be Switzerland's a haven. Now it's Dubai. They own townhomes in London. For them, you have peace and prosperity on the other side of this. Instead of 4 million barrels a day, you can get up to 8 million barrels a day. You do away with the sanctions, you're going to see a lot of direct foreign investment, all right? So the other side, and then you have an entire...
You're telling me the mullahs want direct foreign investment in Iran? That's what they're looking for here at the end of this?
I don't know if they're, quote unquote, looking for it, but it's there for them if they want it and they're willing to play ball. And then now you have an entire region that is no longer a hotspot.
Well, if you're them, you either play ball or you have to get out of Dodge and go hide somewhere, basically. So. And
then we've had, 10 days to, rest for our soldiers who are fighting, replenish all our fuel, food, supplies, and set up another list of 13,000 targets to take out.
Everybody said the ceasefire was too advantageous for them, but I agree with you. It gave us some time to regroup, too. Charlie, the markets are defying what I would expect. I want to get a final word. I just want to finish with this. In the interview that President Trump did this morning, he said that he thought the Dow would be down. The S&P would have fallen by 20%, and that oil would be as high as $200 a barrel. So even he is shocked at what has been produced here.
So you also need to understand why Iran is coming to the table is because this whole conflict is somewhat of a sideshow to China. And the Iranians are a vassal state of the Chinese Communist Party, and the bulk of their energy comes through that Strait of Hormuz. Half their oil comes from Iran. So the longer we shut that off, the more pressure the Iranians are getting from the Chinese, their piggy bank, to go in. So this is the markets are right. We're proceeding closer.
Okay, but Mike, remember, and I want to agree with that, but they have a history of negotiating like this and lying and,
Iran,
and dragging it out. And who knows what the Chinese are saying? By the way, the Chinese can last a little more, don't they? Then they stockpile oil.
Yeah, they've run through the bulk of that, and no one's ever done what President Trump has done.
That's true.
Which is, and so they can play these games. And Trump famously said in an interview with Rush before Rush passed away in 2020, if they want to F around, they can find out, and we are in the find out stage of that.
And by the way, Taco is wrong. I mean, listen, he
says that he will talk to the president about the future of Spirit Airlines.
Weren't they going to merge with somebody and Biden blocked?
Yep, was it JetBlue?
That was it. Biden blocked that.
And then they filed for bankruptcy because the free market couldn't do its work. Antitrust got involved. And so Trump, maybe to his credit, saying, look, it's 14,000 jobs. Maybe the federal government should help that one out.
But look, every single airline has been bailed out to a degree. And I'm for
How about
the
a
Fed to get
merger?
involved
How about a merger?
Exactly.
I mean,
Wow.
Exactly. A little
Naughty
bit of dip,
Biden
a
didn't
little bit
allow
of
that
dip
to
financing
happen.
for the Treasury Department with an equity stake.
I know, but
I think
come on.
No.
We're positive
you
on our
need Spirit
Intel
Airlines.
shares.
Government
They serve an
airlines.
important part of the community.
Someone needs to buy
How else
them.
would I practice my combat skills in the air?
Someone needs to buy them. No more government.
No more government,
investments
please.
in companies. Coming up, Kevin Warsh.
Out confirmation, or is he going to get in there on time?
We'll see. Let's take a little trip down memory lane, and then you can kind of appropriately put Kevin Warsh where he should be. So in 2009, 2010, Obama came in, slowest recovery after recession in the history of our country. Obamacare is trying to get rammed through, and the 10-year Treasury goes north of 4%. Ben Bernanke, the nonpartisan independent Fed, decides to monetize our debt because interest rates are too high to ram through this socialist agenda. Okay, and then now, that was Pandora's box with the Fed getting involved in everything. Maybe the Spirit merger, maybe not. But Kevin Warsh's opinion and why I think he's the right pick is you need to get away from this. Like, the Fed should have no involvement in climate change, right? The Fed doesn't need to bail out every single company. We don't need a $10 trillion balance sheet for our Federal Reserve controlling the debt. But he wants to lower short-term interest rates and take the Fed involvement out of manipulating markets. And so I think he's a great pick. I think Tom Tillis, it's funny how these powerful people turn into kicking, screaming children on their way out. And so he's just trying to make his voice heard as his last throw to be a jerk because he feels like it. Like, how is this in the best interest?
I think it's a little different than that. And I'm not saying, listen, Warsh, I know Kevin Warsh.
Nothing to hide. Answer this
By the
with
way, I can answer that. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I can answer it just to play devil's advocate. He believes that this is a trumped-up charge. This is the executive branch taking over the Fed, which is created as a quasi-independent
From the same guy who blocked Ed Martin for saying that there were trumped-up charges against January 6th. I have no time for Tom Tillis.
Okay.
He's on his way out. Get over it.
Okay,
man.
I get that, but
You
think this is a great investigation?
Yes.
No.
Okay, and it's great because his attorney threatened Jeanine Pirro with him staying on as a governor if they don't drop the investigation. So if he's this apolitical character and you have all these documents that should exonerate him.
He'll argue I'm staying because you're encroaching on the Fed's turf.
Yeah, but that's not his call.
And by the way, he can stay.
He can stay as a governor, but he can't stay as chair.
If you don't get Warsh in there, if Tillis doesn't vote, he will stay in there.
All right, we're out of time. This is a great debate. We're going to see what happens. We're watching.
Comment. Here's another one. If Turnus and team can deliver a truly agentic experience with Siri, it could drive accelerating iPhone sales, which would change the perception that Apple is a non-participant in AI.
So they're the operating system, right? So they are a software company. They're the OS. So they have the device and they have the operating system, and you're locked in. How do most people access AI? They have an installed base of close to 1.6 billion iPhones. So I'll just push back on this narrative. Their AI strategy is to take a vig on everybody else who's making the AI. And so I don't know that you need Siri to be this great agentic AI. I think putting an engineer and an inventor in there, because what's the biggest, gadget doohickey that we've gotten out of Apple? In the last decade, the AirPods are awesome. I love my watch. I exist on this ecosystem. I'm not leaving. So Tim Apple was a steady hand. It's obviously the stock reflects it. And so I like getting a hardware guy in there because if the next 2 or 3 generations of iPhones are substantially better, these upgrade cycles are tidal waves the likes never seen before in mankind. And if you can spur these on with more innovation, I think it's smart. Why do they don't need to compete with Anthropic. They don't need to compete with ChatGPT. They just need to take a vig of what these guys are.
So they're a toll booth in a sense, and a very lucrative one. And listen, I agree with you. I'm just saying that I just know the knock on Tim Apple, as Trump.
So they control all the shares. So they've been a big short squeeze, but those guys are winning.
By the way,
I got another short squeeze, Groupon. It's happening right now.
Really?
These short sellers are pariahs, right? They're not saying, hey, the stock's at 50, it should be at 30. They're trying to put these companies out of business.
Yeah.
And so there's another one going on in Groupon right now. I'm starting to buy a bunch, going to buy more.
S3 Partners, my podcast partner, Bob Sloan, runs it. His data showed this Avis thing early on. It was ripe for a short squeeze. And if you think meme stocks are the only short squeezes, I mean, this is just proving it. Wasn't Hertz an initial meme?
It is.
That was the initial one. It's funny how they go for these rent-a-cars.
Yeah, but look, it's just the greed kills them. Like they're pariahs. They rumor circulate and they put on these PR campaigns and they develop a personal animus against management. Like, I don't know, Michael Burry and Palantir. How's that one working out? It's like you need shorts out there in the market. The majority of short sellers are hedge funds in that they're going long 4 or 5 names and short 3 or 4 names to be market neutral. That's an important part of markets. But the people that bet on these companies and try to drive legitimate companies out of business for pure personal profit so they can buy a bigger boat, like pariahs.
Interesting.
But isn't that how? So, but what's
we got to go.
Oh, I was going to say.
And so that seems more like the circular. The city is telling them it costs more. The FDNY is saying it costs more, and then you see the cost spiral.
Look, it's just shocking. If you just rewind, I guess we're going on 12 years now, or 11 years, because the end of 2014, de Blasio took over. How quickly a city in great fiscal shape, it's clean, it's safe, just gets destroyed. Right? Like, it's how fast this city has deteriorated. Seeing it with my own eyes is just, it's a little bit shocking. But, like, what do you expect? You spend $4 billion a year on the homeless. Does that problem seem to be getting better?
No.
Nope.
Okay. Spend $1 billion a year plus on migrants, people who have no right to be in this country whatsoever. Okay. And now,
Put them up in a hotel, a nice hotel in Midtown.
that destroy these hotels, and who knows what's going to happen to them now. And these people who are leaving, many of them proud Democrat voters, getting squeezed out, can't stay and live with the decisions they made, off to wreck other states. Hopefully not, but.
I just throw this in here. The reason this is all getting more expensive is because union leaders, Zoran Mamdani is in office, and the leaders said they're hoping Mayor Zoran Mamdani will address the pay disparity for EMS compared to other city workers. Translation, they know they can get more money out of this mayor.
So that's what they're doing.
I'll just counter. Being an EMS worker is a super hard job.
Super hard.
And if anything, they should be paid more than all the other city workers, because these are people doing God's work.
Not firemen, though.
Okay, Michael Lee, thank you so much for being here. Lauren Simonetti is going to be here for the next hour of Big Money. That's